intro music, and then if I'm late, I can just play the music, and then no one complains that I'm late. I see other streamers doing it. But there's this thing, like every single time I'm almost ready to start streaming, someone messages me, and it's usually a person that is rarely online. So if I don't talk to them then, I don't know when else I will get them, and it's usually important stuff. So that's why I was late. I apologize. It's actually why I'm mostly late, to be honest. It's not that I'm not physically here. It's just that people message me right before I go on air. And then I want to talk to them a little bit, and, well, it is what it is. So, Elon Musk. How much did he spend for the Twitter? 40 billion or something? That money brought me so much comedy you cannot believe. I think like at this point it's been 2 weeks. There's more comedy coming from Twitter than from any movie that I have seen this entire year. So yeah, they're feds. Oh, maybe yes. Like the people messaging me might be agentes federales. All right, so look at this news. This is very interesting. Jeff Bezos. Bezos. Bezos is giving away his wealth to charity. And he wants to... Like, he was criticized for being stingy with his $124 billion fortune. What people don't really understand is that most of that fortune is not in cash. I mean, he's got businesses and he's got people that work for him and stuff like that. Like, it's not really 124 billion. Like, if he actually starts selling all of his assets, they would go down in price. But the interesting thing is that people like him, they create jobs. I mean, how many people do you know who are employed at Amazon? Because I know a couple, right? They have a job because of Bezos. So it's not like he's not giving money back. You know, he's not like one of those rich people that just hoard the wealth. By the way, I noticed something regarding rich people. I don't know if it's true for millionaires and billionaires, but what I did notice is that if you meet a rich person that actually spends the money he's got and he's actually like trying to, live a better life, a luxurious one, like he's got like Rolex watches and he's got Lamborghinis and he's doing all of this shit. Unironically, from my personal take, is a better person than someone who's being stingy. Like the people who are just greedy and they just like cling to the money, they live like Scrooge McDuck, even though they have a lot of cash, they're usually not very nice people. I'm not talking about like the wealth. I'm talking about the behavior, right? Like talking to them face to face. They're usually a lot more mean and a lot more... I'm not even saying like when you interact with them face to face, but I'm saying it's that they're more prone to do evil things. Like they're more likely to be less compassionate, to care less about people. This is just my experience, right? Like I don't know if it applies to millionaires or billionaires. What I know is that from my personal circle, like the people who have money and are also spending it are more outgoing, more friendly, more nice people to be around with. Like you can rely on their help. But the people who are living like Scrooge McDuck, those are the ones that are more likely to backstab you, more likely to cause drama, more likely... Anyway, right, that's just my take. I don't know how well or not it applies to the rest of the world. But it's interesting because Bezos claims that he's going to donate his most of his wealth during his lifetime. First of all, I call bullshit. Like, I generally don't think he will. But... even if it does, you have to wonder how many donations will actually go to legit causes and how many donations are going to go to, super PACs, like political donations, donations for, like, what was that? The Metropolitan Gala where you had the AOC with the tax the rich bullshit. Like, there's two types of donations, like... For example, George Soros is considered a philanthropist, but when you look at where he's donating the money, like he's not donating the money to feed the poor. He's not donating money to clean the streets of crime. No, like he's donating money for progressive left-leaning causes, right? Like politicians and promoting gender ideology in schools and promoting open borders, like that type of thing. Cosmin, I wish I could give Bazos my PayPal as well. Like, that would be interesting. Giving Bazos your PayPal. I bet, like, if you were to get some donation from Bazos on your PayPal, you'd actually have PayPal suspending your account, like it happened to Ripa. Like, PayPal considers that to be suspicious activity. So if you open a PayPal and all of a sudden you get like $1 million into it, or even if you get $100,000, like, they suspend that. They don't want to give that money away. They want to verify. So yes, the donations are to join an exclusive club, but the donations are also to get rid of taxes. Like, that's a really great way to you know, like, giving donations that aren't taxable in order to lower your tax bracket or do various other activities. I got $11 an hour giving directions to a group. That's really good. He's got a ticket to the new party land. Ah, the new party island, I see. It's literally my lived experience. I don't know, like, I do think that being generous to people means that you're going to get kindness in return. But being Scrooge McDuck often means that you're just, I don't know, it's like, I haven't met a nice person that's Scrooge McDuck. Like, I'm pretty sure that there are somewhere, and they exist, but I personally haven't met them. By the way, there was another thing which happened today. So, I want to read this really fast because I found it to be absolutely hilarious. George W. Bush and Obama to hold conference on disinformation. Right? So, we have Mr. Weapons of Mass Destruction in Iraq. Right? Like, he started the war with this misinformation, which killed killed many people, right? Completely fucked up a country, right? And this is the guy that's going to talk about misinformation. And then you have the guy which is like, you can keep your doctor, right? Like, these two individuals, man, like, it's so fucking hilarious. I am willing to bet that they're doing this on purpose. Like, it's legit doing it on purpose. It's like, yeah, we can. What are you going to do about it? So, apparently, the Allied forces against Trump, I guess. And the conference will take place in Dallas, while Obama will be in New York. Exactly. This is, like, so anti-American, isn't it? Like, imagine 100 years in the past, the president's talking about, yeah, like, we need to spy on people's mails. Like, we need to look at the postal office every time someone sends a letter. We need to read that, because, like, they might send misinformation to their family or loved ones. So, you know, we need to correct it. We need to ban people from using the postal service. Like, if you send misinformation letters to someone, you can be banned from the postal service. We need to get the phone companies to listen in to people, like, put a microphone in their phone and listen in, because they might spread misinformation to others. We need to get bartenders to listen in on people's tables and what they're talking in the bar, and if anyone spreads misinformation, then the bartender needs to kick them out of the bar, because otherwise the landowner is going to take the lease away from the bartender, is going to kick away his business and shit. Right? Like, is that an American thing? Is that how a free country is supposed to be run? Because it sounds a little bit communistic for my take. It sounds more like the communist, the communist Chinese party, or like the Soviet Union. Have my heating money. Jesus fucking Christ, where do you live, Rustavius? Like, with $1.79, if that's how much heating costs over there, I would move. Holy shit. Our postal service has 3 tiers now? I didn't know. Last week, disinformation is today's week's news. Yeah, it's my joke. Like, what is the difference between... what is the difference between a conspiracy theory and actual news? And the answer is give or take 2 to 3 months. Although, like, there was a time during the pandemic when a conspiracy theory would materialize within less than a week. So you'd say something, you'd get banned, you'd get zooked from Facebook, and then a week later, it was true. Remember the Kyle Rittenhouse thing? Like, that's also very interesting. So Kyle Rittenhouse, if you went on Facebook and you tried to defend him, and you say, yeah, but, like, I looked at the video and it seems a little bit like self-defense to me, you'd get banned. Like, you weren't allowed to say that. And then guess what? It turns out it was self-defense. By the way, let me show you something really quick. Speaking of Kile. Kyle Rittenhouse has a YouTube channel. But the problem is you can't find it. Oh my god. You can't find this channel. Holy shit. I know why though. I know why you can't find this channel. Because when you search for Kyle Rittenhouse, right? Like I want to find this channel now, and it's called Kyle Rittenhouse. He talks about guns and the Second Amendment. He posted one video, got like 150,000 views. But the thing is, like, when you search for Kyle Rittenhouse on YouTube, all you get is the authoritative sources, right? So you're going to get the New York Times, Chicago, ABC News, PBS, Fox, the Legal Eagle. I think like the Legal Eagle is in good graces of YouTube. I'm actually curious if he gave the correct verdict, like if he predicted it, right? So you can't find his actual channel. He should have chosen a different name, I guess. Holy shit! Look at this. Look at all the alphabet subnetworks. Fucking disgusting. Like, this is supposed to be a platform where the random people, right? It's YouTube, right? Like YouTube. But no, like all these platforms, and some of them barely have any views. And they're being put up. Like, no independent commentators whatsoever. Not even the Young Turks. Not even the Young Turks. Like, look, I'm scrolling down. I still cannot find where the independent commentators are at. Can't find Kyle's channel. Like, the only way you can find Kyle's channel is if you got a link to it. The absolute fucking state. Oh, God. I guess I should pray that I never get covered in the news. If I ever get covered in the news, my YouTube channel is dead. Like, no one is going to be able to search for me. No, I'm pretty sure, like, you can find the channel, right? Like here you go. Right? Like, it's not hard to find the channel, like, if you got a link to it. But what I'm saying is that you can't find it in the search bar. And he's got, like, 78,000 subscribers. He's got one video with 157,000 views. I'm super excited to announce that I will be starting my YouTube channel. I look forward to creating content about guns and the Second Amendment. My name is Kyle Rittenhouse. You might remember me as the kid who defended himself with a firearm during the 2020 riots in Kenosha. Join me in my journey to learn everything I can about new and vintage firearms to help defend the Second Amendment shall not be infringed. He joined October 12th, last month, and only uploaded the video. Oh well. It's not like he needs the money. I mean, he's going to make a lot of money from those lawsuits, so. Yeah, I do think that the authoritative sources know more about Kyle Rittenhouse than Kyle Rittenhouse himself. I do think that's the vibe that I'm getting here. I looked up Kyle Rittenhouse channel, first result. Let me see if that's the case. But, I mean, you saw my search results, right? I did them live. I searched for him live. Okay, yeah, so if you type in channel, you get the search result, but it should just be Kyle Rittenhouse. Like, if there's a channel with that name, that should pop up. Anyway. He should do more uploads. I don't know. I don't watch those gun channels, but I do know that they're popular. They're very expensive to make. Like, unless you happen to be a gun nut and you already have guns. But even then, I don't know if it's profitable. I don't know if you make enough money per video to justify buying the guns. Especially some people, they buy like really old vintage guns, which are very expensive. It reminds me when YouTube initially had the apocalypse. And they went after gun channels. And some gun channels even got banned. It was that slingshot guy, right? Like, he got banned. So what happened is, like, all the gun nuts went on Pornhub. And you can find masturbatory gun content on Pornhub for a while because all of these people were moving there because they had free speech on that platform, but they didn't have it on YouTube. Bullets are expensive. That's a good thing, I guess. You can actually trade with bullets. Like, if you want to save money, and get past inflation. You buy, because like bullets are easy to stockpile, right? Like they come in compact boxes, so you can buy like many boxes, and then you sell them more expensively when the inflation kicks in. Let me put Kai Drakai in the pinned comment, because I really love his charmful behavior. There we go. They get free stuff, sponsors, and loans. Oh, that's true. That I didn't think about it. Yeah, like I guess if you're a very popular streamer, and you get hundreds of thousands of people, then you may get free stuff. But like even then, you probably won't get vintage stuff. So if you want to have like a musket or something like that in order to shoot it. It was the same with Crowder. Sargon and Tipple I could find. I get it. Yeah, like Crowder, you couldn't find this channel because like once he got into the news and the authoritative sources started reporting on him. Oh, hello, Sarah. I missed you. I hope everything is okay. Guy, thank you for the $10. People have been banned from the post office, although not on mass scale. In 1941, Father Coughlin publication, Social Justice, was banned for being pro-Axis, anti-Semitic propaganda. So I guess it could have happened in the past, but I think like they had a judge deciding on that, right? I still don't agree with it, but it is what it is. And even then, like they wouldn't read your personal mail. Like they wouldn't actually, like you wouldn't have the president of the country talk about how the postal office needs to hire an army of censors so they can go through people's mails and read them out loud to see if they posted something indecent. The only exception to this was at the army. Like if you are in World War I, II, or Vietnam, and you wanted to write home, like you would actually have a censor. But that made sense, right? Because I have seen what happened in Ukraine. So in Ukraine, you had like the Redditors, the Reddit army as they call them, which were volunteers, allegedly, from various places in the world who went to Ukraine to fight. And those morons, like they would post pictures of themselves from whatever barrack or wherever they were placed, and the Russians would look at the pictures and they would bomb that place. So there were many examples with like a Redditor posting, we're getting trained to go fight the Russians, and they would take a picture of themselves, how they're in this school, right, which was made as a training camp, and the Russians would bomb that because they managed to localize what it is. They looked at the thing and they knew it. And that's what happens when you don't have censor in the military. Like, people can literally die because soldiers might be a little bit stupid. And they don't know that loose lips sink ships, as they would call it. Sending GPS locations for abducts. Yeah, pretty much. It's just... Another thing is, like... This is actually something that you can't do because... social media doesn't allow that. But like if you were to show cruelty towards captives or something like that, then it's really fucked up, because if you get captured after that, or your friends or your comrades get captured, how do you think they're going to be treated? Like if you display levels of cruelty to the media and you're like, oh well, this is how we treat our captives, look how bad we treat them, well then don't expect that the enemy will treat you nicely when they capture you. So it's like things like that. This is why in war it's kind of like being in a legal lawsuit. Just shut the fuck up. The same principle applies. Just shut the fuck up until it's over. Like, once it's over, you can talk about it. But while it's happening, just shut the fuck up. If you want to talk to mama or papa, just talk about trivial shit. How the weather is. And it's also like the thing, it's like, what are you going to write to mama and papa if you're on the battlefield? Like, you're afraid. Yes, I'm probably sure that they know. Geneva Convention was that. The thing is, like, there is the reality of war, and there is the romanticization of war, right? The romanticization of war is Call of Duty. It's like, oh, America, hurrah, the red, white, and blue. The reality of war is horrible. It's one of the worst things that humankind can do to one another. And it does involve torture, rape. But even like if you don't want to violate the Geneva Conventions, like sometimes if you don't have money to buy food for your soldiers, like you're obviously not going to prioritize the prisoners of war. Like that can actually happen. It has happened throughout human history. Like especially if you're getting more prisoners than you expected. Like you need logistics to send them back into your country to lock them up someplace. You may not have space. You may not have food. So like that, like some atrocities can also happen not necessarily because the people are evil, but because there's no resources. It's not a war crime the first time. That's actually true, like if it's not passed into legislation yet, and it's not illegal, I mean, it's kind of like Genghis Khan. Like Genghis Khan, you can't trial him for war crimes because there was no Geneva Convention at the time. So technically he didn't know. But trench gun goes boom, oh yes. Anyway, right. Stealing from supermarkets is still a crime, and so is stealing from prisoners. Oh yeah, but like, if you're, let's put it this way, right? Like, let's say your country sends soldiers to invade another country, and you don't give them rations, like you don't give them food. Now those soldiers have weapons. What do you think is going to happen? Like, do you think they're just going to willingly starve to death? Like, no, they're going to start plundering. I mean, it is something that's expected. It's probably in some cases by design. I mean, put yourself into that position, right? Like your country drafts you, sends you off to invade another country, right? You don't have a choice. You have to do it or you get shot. And you have nothing to eat. You have a gun, though. Then you're in another country. Like, what are you going to do? Stealing is definitely a war crime. You're not even allowed to steal from the bodies. So, for example, of course, in reality, most people don't. I mean, maybe the Americans do. I don't know. But, like, here in Eastern Europe, whenever there was war in the past, no one followed that. But, like, if you shoot an enemy soldier, right, you're not allowed to start pickpocketing them. The only thing you're allowed to take is ammunition, his weapon, and I think you may actually take, like, his uniform, but you're not supposed to wear the uniform. But like, if he has like a blanket or a trench coat or something like that, and you have like because the problem is, like, if you take the uniform, then people will assume you're part of the enemy team. You might get friendly fired. But if you have a way to like wash off the collar and you just hold that while you're in the barrack or the trenches in order to keep yourself warm, I think you're allowed to do that. But yeah, like, you're not allowed to take his valuables. You're not allowed to take money. You're not allowed to take any of that. You have to leave the loot they dropped. Yes, literally, you have to leave the loot they drop. If they are eaten, it isn't stealing. Ah. I think you can take his food rations as well. Like, so like that, and it probably depends like what you're doing, right? Like if you are caught like stealing one wallet, you're probably, and let's say that you have an officer that legitimately applies these rules. If you take one wallet, you might get punishment in the brig. You might get put on latrine duty. But if you're like caught just like with a bag of goods, then you might get court-martialed. So like if you're like Santa Claus, just like carrying. The Russians would do this when they invaded Romania. They would steal coats from people, which at the time were expensive because we're talking Second World War, right? So like having an actual fur coat made out of sheep was expensive. So they would have like 5 or 6 on top of them. And watches. They were also expensive at the time. So it was like a hand covered with watches. Yeah. One Romanian poet said, from Nistru to Tisa, davai watch, davai your coat. Davai means give me in Russian. So like it's really ingrained into the Romanian psyche. Join stream, the first thing I hear out of the Romanian's mouth is the word pickpocket. Well, of course. Takes skill. If your country gets invaded, you're more than welcome to break every Geneva Convention to... no, not really. I mean, it really depends if you're winning the war or not. I mean, the Vietnamese broke the Geneva Convention. Like, what happened to them, right? It's usually, as many things go in international law, it's like might makes right, unfortunately, and that's a reality. It's not how the world should be, but it is how the world is. Your watch is over 20 years old. The thing is, like, watches used to be status of wealth. Now even the most prestigious watch companies, they make cheap watches because it's very easy to mass produce them. But I do understand why back in the old day watches were very expensive, because you had like a person which had to make the watch by hand, and he had like this huge magnifying glass that he would look through it, and he had, you know, you required to have like a lot of dexterity and a lot of patience in order to make those watches. So if you managed to make watches flawlessly and they were like very good equipment and stuff like that, then yeah, they would be very expensive. Nowadays most watches are cheap. Like you can buy a cheap watch for like $20 that looks like something that would have probably costed $1,000 when my dad was young. And not to mention, now you even have like watches which are resistant to water, they're resistant to impact, they look good. And I'm not even talking about the smartwatches. The smartwatches is something that I don't understand. Like, the smartwatch just blows my mind. Why the fuck would you buy something like that? Yeah, it was about the accuracy as well. Like, how accurate the watch was, yeah. Anyway, I guess we can go with the main topic of the day. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Like here. Yoy. And then I can put it like this, huh? Much better. Why don't I do this all the time, chat? Why don't you tell me to do this more often? Like, V, fix your screen. Here we go. Ta-da! Alright. Hold on, I also require to have my chat. Which is God knows where. Give me a second. I need to put the chat on the screen as well. Here we go. You're not fools. I've never seen you before. Welcome to the stream. Your $35 fitness track. I guess if you're doing fitness, yeah, like the smartwatch might make a point. Scat Francisco. You know, I'm going to say this until I fucking coin it. You know, like this is exactly what it is. Scat Francisco. Elon Musk had a demand. I love it. It's like, what do you mean the boss had a demand? The employees have demands, not the boss. The boss fulfills the demand. Elon Musk. I love that. I will steal that as well. Elon Musk. Holy shit. On October 28th, after completing his buyout of Twitter the night before, Elon Musk gathered several human resource executives in a war room in the company office in Scat Francisco, where he prepared widespread layoffs. He told the team 6 people with knowledge of the discussion and said Twitter's workforce needed to be slashed immediately. And the people that were cut were not going to get bonuses. The executives warned their new boss that this plan could violate employment laws, and he said that he is used to lawsuits and going to courts, so he wants the human resources to find a way to fire these people. Now, this is literally what the human resources are paid for. A lot of people believe that, and it's so bizarre. Like, I don't know why employees believe that the human resources are your friend. You know, oh, you got a sexual harassment complaint. Oh, go to human resources. Don't go to the cops. Go to human resources because they're your friend. In reality, what human resources does is to protect the company's interests. They don't give a shit about you and your problem. In fact, like, if you go with the scandal saying that you got... This is actually what happened to a colleague of mine from med school who worked in Germany. And she had another German doctor locking her in the bathroom and trying to hug and touch and grope and kiss and other things. One of those new Germans, if you know what I mean. And I told her, like, go to human resources. So she goes to human resources. Eventually, they, investigate. And she was like, suggested that it would be better if she quits. Right? Because they wanted the scandal to go away. I told her, do not quit. Like, keep it up. Tell them that you'd go to the press. And eventually, it was the other guy that got in trouble. But, like, what I want to say is that this is what happens with human resources. Like, they don't give a shit. So, one of the things that they do is they document people, right? So, like, every time you do something bad, oh, you're late 5 minutes to work. All right, well, they document you. You're late 10 minutes to work. They write it down. And they don't do anything with that. They just like, it's something that they write it down. Oh, some colleague makes a complaint about you. Even if they can't prove it, they write it down. So when they want to fire you without paying, what you're due, or without giving you the benefits for the layoffs and stuff, they bring that back. They have an entire folder, and they bring it back, and they fire you for probable cause, or they fire you for misbehaving, or being a sex pest or something like that. They don't have to prove anything. So this is what Elon Musk is asking them to do. Well, it's like, well, 5 reasons. Like that's what you're being paid. Same with the legal department. Like, the legal department gets private offices, air conditioning, really nice. They don't get to stay in open offices. So this is their job. It's like, find legal loopholes. Tangent here, but have you ever played the Curse of Strahd campaign in D&D? No, I have not. I don't play campaigns in D&D. I create my own campaigns when I play D&D. Jermukson, yes, Jermukson. Yeah. So, 2 days later, Mr. Musk learned exactly how costly those potential fines and lawsuits could be. 3 people said that delays were also piling up as managers haggled over which employees to let go. He decided to wait cutting jobs until November the 1st. The order for immediate layoffs, the ensuing panic, and about to reflect the chaos that engulfed Twitter since Mr. Musk took over the company 2 weeks ago, the 51-year-old battled with ideas about how the social media service should operate, but with no comprehensive plan to execute them. Then he quickly ran into the business, legal, and financial complexities of running a platform that has been a global town square. The fallout has often been excruciating. According to 36 current and former Twitter employees and people close to the company. Also, let me get this straight. Like, the New York Times went to the people who got fired. I mean, of course they're going to have a little bit of bias, don't you think? Like, they might be a little bit salty. It's like going to the girlfriend that just got dumped and asking her about the boyfriend. Like, maybe they might not be a very objective source of information. Like, maybe you should take it with a little grain of salt. So, Twitter employees and people close to the company are complaining. And apparently Twitter, which is under financial pressure from debt and a slumping economy, is now unrecognizable compared with what it was a month ago. Yeah, I mean, it's got actual traffic now. I actually have people messaging me. Like, Twitter actually seems like a live platform. And by the way, Elon Musk also said about this, like, the engagement is up. There's more people using it. So Mr. Musk slashed 50% of the company's 7,500 employees. I believe he fired 4,000 by now, but like what the New York Times doesn't mention is that 25% of them were supposed to be fired anyway. And you get to see this with Meta and other companies. They're also firing people. Disney is firing people. It's almost like we're under a recession. And during times of recession, the tech industry is suffering a low blow. It's almost... Holy shit. It's almost like this is a natural thing. Like, maybe this is what happens after a pandemic, where you decide to keep people safe. And you decide to print money. And you pay people not to work. Like, maybe this is a side effect. What do you think? I think it might be. Oh, but no, it's Elon Musk. Yes, Elon Musk is... And by the way, another thing. So he fired around 4,000 people. Probably more by now. But the platform still works. Like, you can still use Twitter. I'm not experiencing any major disruptions, any bugs. You know, the website isn't down. So just how much fat did that company have? Like, how many people that did jack shit was that company having? Just let that sink in for a little bit. Right, that's a fucking army of people. You can invade a small nation with 4,000 people. The world isn't falling. Twitter is still there. And he just fired everything. Right, like 4,000. That's a good thing. If your company is in debt. Right, because like we're talking about a company that's losing $4 million per day. Apparently the lunches at Twitter costed, so from what I've been told, it was around $300 to $400 per person. Every single fucking day, $300 to $400. What the fuck were they feeding them? And then you get to see that little video with the lady at the Twitter office. And when I said that looks like a dinner from a high-class restaurant, like something that I would take my wife if I want to have a nice evening with her. You know, it's her birthday, it's our anniversary, and we go out, and we go to an expensive restaurant. That's literally how I would imagine that dinner costs. Yes, wine on tap. Right? So, like, all of that shit per person, now multiply it with 7,500, assuming that, you know, some people didn't even eat a lot better. Like, I'm pretty sure the executives had better food. That's a lot of fucking money per day. Yeah, like, sure, if your company is on red, the first thing you want to do is, like, how do we cut costs? They didn't have caviar, man, but they had the, let me show you. Give me a second, and I'll show you. It wasn't caviar, but it was like really, really awesome meal. And the funny thing is, like, when Elon Musk said that he is cutting away the meals from the employees, journalists were saying that Elon Musk is trying to starve the employees. And I'm like, motherfucker, like, I remember when I had to buy my own food when I went to school. And when I went to work, like, the concept that like, your workplace would pay for your food was also laughable. Like, no, you have to buy your own. Like, this is such a new thing. It's like, oh, you go to work and they give you shit to eat. It's like, what? But again, let me see if I can find... Ah, here we go. Right. Look at this. Right? So, you got, like, steak with asparagus. And you have some vegetables. And the thing which blows my mind is the plating. Right? Because it's not just like they take the slosh and go onto your plate. Which is what happened, like, when I was when I was at the hospital. There was a cantina where you could go and buy food. With your money, by the way. Like, it wasn't from the hospital. And you know, they had mashed potatoes. They had probably some like, grilled pork or something. They had various things. But you'd go there and you had your tray. Literally like in prison, and there was a fat lady behind the counter that went like into your plate. Like, there was like, this is plating. This is the art of plating, which chefs do. So I assume that there is a team of chefs which are cooking these things, and they also cost money. Like, they probably had a pretty salary, right? So yeah, like, of course all of this food goes up to $300. I mean, it's pretty much how much I would expect to pay if I went out and bought something like this from an expensive place. And again, the company is losing money. Like, we're not talking about a very wealthy company that's flourishing with cash. We're not talking about JP Morgan. Theater mode, cannot see it. Why can you not see it? What the fuck can you not see? Hold on. Oh, yeah. Let's try like this. Look at it. Alright? Look. Can't see it. Squint your eyes, goddammit. Squint your eyes and you will be able to see it. Why do you need to see it? I just described it to you. Look at it. This is cooked to perfection. It's below medium rare. It's kind of rare. So this is like beef, right? It's cow beef. You can see the juices flowing. Oh, yummy. Every single fucking day. And it's kind of funny because most of the employees didn't even go to work. Like, I'm really curious how much food they were throwing away as well. Because, like, if you have, let's say you're at Twitter HQ, and you have, like, I don't know, 1,000 people working there. When you're cooking food, you're cooking for those people that are there. So if they don't show up, the food is cooked and then it's thrown away unless someone else wants it. Beyond beef, huh? Not worth $300? I think it is. No, seriously, like if you go to if you go to an expensive restaurant, it is. I mean, unless you notice there's inflation. Hello, Sketch. How's it going? I can't wait until Musk digs in and learns to approve this shit. Ha! So anyway, Mr. Musk, who did not respond for comment, said that Twitter's situation was grim. There was a negative cash flow, and bankruptcy is not out of the question. I love how people just freaked out when he talked about bankruptcy. I mean, if your company is losing $4 million a day, yeah, bankruptcy is definitely not out of the question. Mr. Musk added that they would need to work strenuously to keep the company afloat. Those who are able to go hardcore and play to win, Twitter is a good place. And those who are not totally understand, but Twitter is not for you. I mean, dude, again, the company is losing $4 million. Like, if I was working at a company who was losing $4 million, I would seek a new job. So you have two options, right? Like, either you seek a new job, or you're going to stay there and give a inhuman level of effort because you really love that company so much, and try to find some way to save it. Literally, welcome back to meritocracy, baby, yes. Mr. Musk arrived at Twitter, San Francisco, and took a white porcelain cig through the glass door of the building. The vibe quickly changed. The next day, Parag, Twitter's CEO, and Neg Segal, the chief financial officer, were in the office. And once they knew that Mr. Musk's acquisition of Twitter was closing that afternoon, they left the building. They don't mention that they got security to escort them. I don't know if both of them, but I'm pretty sure one of them got escorted by security because there's videos on Twitter with it. Which makes me assume that they had a spat with Elon Musk. I think like they went into his office, started arguing, and Elon Musk got security. There is no other explanation for this, right? Like, why would you need security to escort you out of a building? Like, the only time people are escorted by security is if they throw a scene. If they start sparking out at the boss. And then the boss just like goes like, security. I don't know if they had cardboard boxes. Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate it. That evening, Twitter hosted a Halloween party called Trick or Treat for employees and their families. Some workers dressed in costume and tried to keep their mood festive. Others cried and hugged each other. You know, I'm not going to blame the employees. I mean, they seem to have a really good gig going. You don't have to show up for office. You make around $10,000 a month. You get like $300 food. You get a free phone every 2 years. Twitter pays for your phone expenses and all that shit. You know, you got a yoga place, and you got the foosball and the Nerf guns, and you got like all that good stuff. Yeah, you know, I kind of get it. They fired Mr. Ligma as well. Yes, Mr. Ligma did have boxes. Mr. Musk brought his own advisors, many of whom had worked at his other businesses, such as PayPal and Tesla. They parked themselves in the war room on the second floor of a building. The area which Twitter used to fit big spending advertisers and dignitaries was stocked with company memorabilia. The advisors included the venture capitalist David Sachs, Jason Calacanis, and many others. Mr. Musk's personal lawyers. Is this why they fired the Twitter lawyer lady? Because like Elon Musk is like, no, I got better lawyers. In meetings with Twitter executives, Mr. Musk was direct, saying that the human resource executives, he wanted to reduce the workforce immediately before November the 1st. The date when employees would receive regularly scheduled retention bonuses in the form of vested stock. Tech companies often compensate employees with regular share grants. Oh my god. So you're telling me that the shareholders can be employees as well? Vosh hid this from me. You know, like Vosh made it sound like the shareholders are the evil people. And it seems that the employees can also own shares, and they can also buy stuff from the company. So they can be a customer, employee, and shareholder. Holy shit. What are my thoughts on No Not November? I mean, it's a tradition. I don't know how many people take it seriously. Like, I guess if you want to display that you can master yourself by having abstinence, and you can show that you're going to, last a month. I mean, that's respectable. I don't. It's interesting. What can I say? So anyway, the FBI lawyer lady. Yes. Before paying the bonuses, Mr. Musk insisted on a payroll audit to confirm that Twitter employees were real humans. He voiced concerns over ghost employees who should not receive money lingering in Twitter systems. This is actually something that happens at many places, by the way. Like, just because the media doesn't talk about it and now they mention it, it sounds like a big thing. But no, like, there are many companies where you have the HR, but usually it's upper management, which wants to take more money, like literally steal money from the company. So they have like fake employees, or they rig the books in order to make it seem like someone is getting paid, but actually the money goes into the pockets of the boss. So yeah, I do understand why. I mean, this is common practice. This is not something shocking. As Twitter managed to comply list for the layoffs, Musk flew to New York to meet with advertisers. In some advertiser meeting, Mr. Musk proposed a system for Twitter users to change the kind of content that the service exposes them to. Kind of like movie ratings, implying that brands could then target their advertisers on the platform better. He also committed to a product improvement. Okay, so this was actually a really good idea, right? So what Musk wanted is you can have a Twitter that's like fully uncensored. So you get the N-words, you get all the slurs, you get all the nastiness, right? And you turn it on, and you get exposed to everything. Like, there's no censorship. And then you have like an average Twitter for like advertisers where, like people talk normally, and it's the current Twitter, if you will, right? Which has censorship. So if you're an advertiser and you want to be risky, you want your product to appear next to someone saying the N-word, you can choose to advertise to like the hardcore Twitter. But if you don't want that, you want to protect your brand, then you advertise normal Twitter. The problem with Elon Musk is that he didn't understand that advertisers do not really give a shit about this, right? Advertisers maintain their advertisement on Twitter even when questions of pedophilia and other nasty content appeared on the platform. So for example, there was this massive scandal, which I talked about in a previous live stream, and it happened 2 years ago, where a person pointed out that there is a video of them having sex on Twitter being shared, and this was happening when they were underage. So when they were underage, they did a sex tape, which then got into the hands of someone else, and that person was now blackmailing them and was displaying it on Twitter. And he was having problems at school. He was getting bullied at school, right? So he wanted that to be taken down. He wrote to Twitter Trust and Safety, multiple times flagged it, and Twitter Trust and Safety said, no, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with this tape, which has an underage child on it. Like, there's nothing wrong. Eventually, he contacted the lawyer, escalated it, went to the law, and the law, a judge, like, forced Twitter to take it down. Now, despite the fact that was in the press, despite the fact that was a massive scandal, nothing was done about it. right? And the advertisers didn't decide to pull off adverts. Why? Because the advertisers don't give a shit. The only time the advertisers care is when the activists raise a stink about it. So if you have like this version of Twitter where you have, the hardcore Twitter where people can say whatever they want, and you have like the PG Twitter, at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter because the brands don't really care about slurs and other things. Like, what the brands care is for the activists to shut the fuck up. I love how Twitter TOS is more important than the literal law. Well, like, who gets in problem? Like, if you're a moderator on Twitter, right? And you're doing a job, like, you're not going to get sued. You're not going to get, in trouble, illegal trouble, because you just follow the TOS. Like, it's a job for you. So anyway, this outreach was undercut by the departures of 2 New York-based Twitter executives. They were all known in the advertising community. Those Twitter executives had great relationships with most people at Fortune 500, and they were incredibly transparent and inclusive. Well, that's the problem. They were inclusive. I think like Elon Musk wants a group of exclusive people, and they're exclusive in the fact of their competence. Like, they should be some of the best people in the field. Like, I don't want inclusivity, because inclusivity means you're getting the lazy ones, you're getting the incompetent ones. Like, no, you want an exclusive club. Like, you want to be able to be proud of the type of people you're employing. So Volkswagen Group, General Motors, and United Airlines have all said that they're going to pass advertising on Twitter. By the way, due to the recession, and this again the media doesn't mention, a lot of the companies were planning to pull out anyway, and they can use this as virtue signal. You can see the same happening on Facebook and on other platforms. There's advertisers pulling out, or at least spending less money. It's due to the fact that they're wasting less money on publicity because we're now going into a recession. Mr. Musk elevated some managers at Twitter. He tapped Asher Crowdfund, a product manager, to revamp a subscription service called Twitter Blue. Mr. Musk wanted a new version of the service, which would cost $8 a month and include a premium feature, and he gave the team a deadline until November 7th. So I do have to say, Twitter Blue was definitely a failure. Like, Elon Musk definitely rushed this a lot more than he should. The problem with Twitter Blue is that it was supposed to be a verification badge, but now it's like a subscription badge. And people were confused because now everyone was able to buy the Twitter Blue. So you have a lot of impersonation accounts, a lot of trolls. The company managed to lose like $700 million. By the way, how would you feel? No, seriously, like, how would you feel if you're making a parody account and you're getting a company, a pharmaceutical company, to lose $725 million? Like, let me show you what we're talking about, just so you can understand. Here we go. So the company is Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly. And there was a person which made an account. Oh, fucking hell. Everything asks money from me. Every journalist asks money from me, but if Elon Musk asked for $8, oh, that's such a crime against humanity, isn't it? Okay, I think I found something. Maybe this one isn't going to ask money from me. So, Eli Lilly, right? Apparently, there was someone impersonating them and saying that insulin is going to be free. Here we go. We are now excited to assign that insulin is free now. And this caused the debate, which, again, the leftists, which are not very educated people, despite other claims, went like, oh, but why isn't insulin free, right? And they started attacking the company, and it went like, I already made a video explaining why insulin is not free, even though like the first invention of insulin is free. And this is due to the fact that the first insulin, the one that was initially created, which is the one that is free, is done from processing pig pancreas. And I think like cow pancreas as well. You probably could make it from dog. But like it's done from processing pig, dog, and cows, right? So you take the pancreas, there is a way to process it, and you get the insulin from that. And that is the free one. And you can do it today. Like I mean, there are people who can follow the steps and do it in their own home. But the problem is, it's not. First of all, it's not very effective. I mean, it does help, but it's not as good as the one that you pay money for. And secondly, not very safe. And thirdly, it doesn't necessarily fit the needs of the patient, because there are some people that might be like me. You know, I'm awake mostly during the night. I don't eat regular meals. So then you need one type of insulin. Then there's other people that have a very fixed schedule and they eat at the exact hours and they get another type of insulin, right? So that's what you pay for. You pay for the modern type of insulin, which is made in a lab and it's got a lot more safety features, and right. So that's why the leftist doesn't understand. It's like, oh, but it was free. Like the invention was free. Same with the light bulb. It's like with the Thomas Edison, it's like the light bulb was cheap. And it's like, yeah, the initial light bulb. Like if I find you the light bulb that Thomas Edison invented, you'd probably be very unsatisfied with it because it doesn't have the same light like the shit that it's on top of me, right? So that's why that shit costs more than the original. But whatever. What I wanted to say is that imagine being the guy who made this tweet and you realize that you costed the company $725 million. Can you sleep at night? Because you know, like somewhere, someone, like there is a lawyer that's churning right now. You know, like there is a lawyer at a company with a big hard on to sue your fucking ass. You did $725 million worth of that. Are they going to just let it go? Are they just going to allow that to pass? The synthetic one is even cheaper to produce, but you have patents on that. Well, yeah, the synthetic one, while it is cheaper to produce, it's not that you have patents on that, but you also need a lab, right? Like the lab costs money to get all the stamps from the government and to operate it, and then you have the safety features, and then you have all of the staff that works on it, and they did like 6 years of med school, and they want money to pay for their studies. So it's not really like that. You know, like, yes, technically it is cheap to produce, but you need to account for the staff, you need to account for the lab, you need to account for how much money is spent to open a lab, so on and so forth. The equipment as well. Do you think he put a short option on that stock? No, I don't think he expected the stock to fall. Which is why most of these people who caused millions of damages to companies with Twitter Blue, they immediately deleted their accounts. And, you know, even if it's legal what they did, even if, like, you can still get sued by lawyers. Like, your life can still be made miserable. Like, you fucked with the wrong people. I'm pretty sure everyone was a grifter on the internet. My fucking god. You know, like, everyone knows the little bit of trivia. It's like, oh, well, Edison didn't invent the light bulb. I'm glad. Edison only industrialized the light. I don't care. You get the fucking point. I was using a metaphor. Like, I don't want to now have, like, a history lesson on my chat explaining to people that actually Edison didn't invent the light bulb, you know? Like, and let's go into Nikola Tesla and see, like, the rivalry between Tesla and Edison. Like, just shut the fuck up. God. Anyway. I should end the stream now, because it's been 1 hour, and I'm going to make this into a 2-part. Trust me, the second part is more hilarious, so you guys will want to be here tomorrow for the second part of the article. It's absolutely... Like, there's a part where they were trying to get Elon Musk not to fire the people of color from the company. Just like, it was like, literally, just fire the white people. Just fire them. We're going to talk about that. Light bulbs were expensive back then. It was like $100. Well, of course, like every invention that comes out is expensive. I mean, I remember a computer. Like, when a computer came out, like one of those 486 processors, Jesus fucking Christ, it costed a kidney. A television, like a color TV, holy shit, that was expensive. So yeah, like, it's normal. Like, when an invention comes out on the market, it's very expensive, and now you can buy it cheap. Same with the car. Like, now with $500. Okay, 500 maybe not, but like $700 at least here in my country, you can buy a second-hand car easily, right? And a car used to be a luxury. I just a couple of like when my grandparents were young, a car was a luxury, any car. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for the super chats, I appreciate it, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.